It is an established fact now that our kids are living double lives. From a very young age, we teach our children what is Islamic and what is not Islamic. So they know that we can't handle certain things, and it's part of our own practice. So for example, when we meet our own friends, we won't talk maybe about a certain film that we've seen, or some parents that listen to music or do other things. They won't even talk about it with their friends because they know it's taboo or it's not something that you talk about in an Islamic environment. But when we go home, we live a very, or sometimes different life. The kids pick up on that from a very young age, and they learn to be Muslim and Islamic in the mosque, with the community, with the parents, with the cousins, with the uncles and aunties. But when they're at school, college and uni, they're very different. So my personal experiences have been that I've seen kids that I know from the local communities, and they're very in line with what we want to hear or say. And then I see the same kid at a college or uni or out in town, and they're very, very different. And I remember one of the instances where one of the kids was very active in the mosque and organizes events and things. And he was coming out the train station, and as he came out, he had his earphones in, and he was listening to some really loud rap music, and he was really into the music. He's a bearded young guy, about 19 years old. He came out the station and he saw me. He goes, "Dr. Dean," and I go, "Yeah, how you doing?" And I just smiled at him, and he was like, "Oh my God, he's seen me." And I wasn't shocked because I've seen that all the time. So, he was embarrassed, but I didn't judge him for it or in any way tell him off, or I just smiled at him, and I knew that's normal. And what it is, because of that fear that our kids have, they don't communicate with us. So who do they talk to? Can they go to the mosques? Most imams, in my experience of traveling the country, haven't got a clue about what's going on with the youth. Even if they do, they don't know how to talk to the youth or deal with them. Then we've got the mosque issues of elders not really liking young people in the mosque. So they're not going to go to the mosque. Do they go to parents? In most cases, from going up and down the country, doing anonymous surveys with the youth, online surveys, qualitative, quantitative data, collecting all the data and realizing that there are kids that are suicidal, self-harming, addicted to pornography, all kinds of things, and the parents in the same home have no clue of what's going on. I've even had a kid who is a YouTuber at home in the room in the same house, and the parents didn't know that the kid had a YouTube channel, and when they watched the YouTube channel, they realized the kid had a complete different way of seeing the world. So it clearly shows there's not a strong bond or relationship, especially when it comes to teen years and above. So why is that happening? The number one complaint the youth have is that they can't express themselves. When they say something, they don't get answers. So the typical questions that even people of other faiths and beliefs and non-beliefs have, they have the same questions about Prophet ﷺ's marriage to Aisha radiallahu anha. They have questions about atheism, God, evolution, and there's nowhere that's answered. So the relationship has to be based on mutual respect and love. We do give a lot of love to our kids, alhamdulillah. That's natural, that's altruistic, that's just natural. We're born that way as humans. That's there, but sometimes there's no balance. It's either we're very, very loving, but we can also at the same time be very controlling. We need to know how to control that love and that freedom and control balance. And as they get older, youth want more freedom, and we don't know how to handle that. The relationship between us and the kids, we need to think about how we can build it and what the skills are that we need to build that friendship. So if you look at the amount of time we spend with our kids, especially now, it's different when it comes to boys and girls. Girls really prefer a relationship based on time, just chilling out, maybe going down to the coffee shop, watching a film together, going out and doing things together as a family. Boys, they want to be with their friends, want to be on the PlayStation. They also like doing this, but not as much. But things have changed over the years, and because of the economic situation in the world, millennials and centennials, the youth that we have today, they don't have as much money. There's a lack of jobs. Pay has gone down in proportion to what people were being paid in the past, and inflation and Brexit and the economic situation leading to less jobs, so less pay. All of this is actually advantageous to us as families, because kids, when they had money before, youth had money, they'd like to go on holidays on their own. Now that they can't afford it, they're actually happy to go on a holiday with their families and also stay home longer. So they can't afford to move out and live their own lives at a younger age as they could have done a generation or two ago. So these are things which help build that relationship, actually, because they're going to be at home with us. So we need to really build relationships like the prophets had with their kids. So Ibrahim alayhi salam, he has an amazing relationship with Ismail alayhi salam, and it's so powerful that if you think about it, when he's asked to sacrifice his son, he comes to Ismail alayhi salam and says, Allah has asked me to make you the sacrificial animal. And imagine that's, we take that really lightly, we think nothing of it. Imagine if it was my child or your child and we had to make that sacrifice. What would it be like? And would we be able to handle that? So we'd probably be looking for a million excuses not to do it, or reasons, emotional ones, mental health issues, low self-esteem. But Ibrahim alayhi salam is very, very clear about what he has to do. And his son has been raised with such a strong bond with his father that he says, "Fanzur madha tara," and he says to him that, look and see, what do you think? See, how do you see this? How do you see this situation? How do you see this problem? And he could have said, what do you think? But he says, what do you see? And the reason he says that, Ibrahim alayhi salam says that, because he wants him to visualize the whole situation, visualize what's going to happen here. You are going to be sacrificed. What do you think? Open your mind, expand your mind. And what we're not doing, and why we have this problem of lack of relationships, is we're not expanding the mind. We are talking at our children, not talking with them. So we're telling them, this is what Islam says, and it's almost like a book. We throw the book at them. This is what Quran says. This is what Hadith says. And they hear it for years and years and years. But it's not natural, it's not human, it's more like a preacher. Our relationship with our kids sometimes is more like a preacher preaching to them, rather than having a conversation or letting them think for themselves and ask those questions that confuse them. The other thing is about relationships is, kids, they spell what they want. Love is spelled T-I-M-E, time. Time is everything. The more time we can give. And what's actually happening is sometimes we're home, but we're not home because we're on the phone, or we're watching breaking news again and again. A lot of dads are just checking the sports score or on their laptops, or So we're in the house, but we're not there. We're physically there, mentally we're not there. So relationships have to be built on doing things together, and things that they want to do, but also things that you want to do. A lot of times I've seen a lot of things that we do, and youth are absent. So you get the younger kids attending up to about the age of 9, 10, maybe 11. And then there's a whole gap in our community of the youth that are missing between 12 and say 18 and above. They don't come out because we say, oh, let's go here, let's do this activity, let's go indoor skiing, or I don't want to go, let's go to this Islamic event, or let's go, I don't want to do it. And we just listen. So what we do together with our kids has to be a two-way thing. So some of it is a give and take. Sometimes we do what they want to do. If your son wants to play PlayStation, you should be playing with your son. But also, they need to compromise, and the things you want to do with them, they also should be doing. So a lot of times we just listen to them and we do everything they want us to do, but they don't do anything for us or the things that we want to do. So we have to have the balance in this relationship about the time we spend and the activities we do together. It needs to be a bit of what they want and a bit of what we want. That's crucial. The other thing about relationship is the communication. It must be two-way. And the hardest thing with the rise in mental health, which I'm going to talk about in the other video, is got to be about the inside, the hearts and minds, not the outer. The kids have learnt now to show us a certain outer that ticks the boxes, you know, or feels all Islamic, but inside there's a lot going on. We're not able to really capture what's going on in the hearts and minds, the beliefs, and that's why growth in all these issues like atheism and other isms and beliefs that are contrary to what we ideally as parents like our kids to have. So this is where relationships are at the moment. I'd like to see us really spend more time, quality time, and work on not being preachers, but listeners, and a friendship that's two-way and based on the individual kid, because every kid is different, every youth is different. One kid might need more time than the other. They might need a different kind of attention or activity or thing that they like to do. But let them grow, help them to actually develop their own skills rather than forcing them down certain routes only that we prefer or like. So it's a new generation, new challenges, a new time, and what we want to do is really understand the situation, the crisis of the time. With the introduction of this, everything has changed. So we're going to talk about that in the next video. So for now, I'd just like to wrap up and say relationships are going to be key to what they become in the future. The relationship's not there. What I keep finding again and again is parents coming to me and people that work with youth when the kid is 21, 22. Oh my God, you know, my kid's become this or that, or believes in this or behaves like this. What do I do now? I'm sorry, when they're 22 and they're a grown adult, it's too late. I don't mean that they can't be guided, but it's too late in terms of where were you when they were 7, when they were 14, when they were growing up. Now they're 22, they're an adult. In some cases, it's just like talking to a stranger or a person who's not a Muslim and starting from scratch, because they've built their ideas now, their lifestyle, their concepts now. It's going to be really, really difficult. So don't come when they're 22, come when they're 7, when they're 9, when they're 10. May Allah guide us all and help us with the challenges of parenting and building those relationships and friendships that we'd like to have with our kids. Ameen. Don't forget to subscribe and follow the whole series and the other videos we have and share them with everybody, the usual. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.